Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video, and if I did comment to you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please drop that same question again and put repeat question and it will get moved to the top, and if it was super long, maybe shorten it up a little bit. And I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. But before we get started, we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is ARIZONATCG. If you guys have a bunch of graded cards you're looking to sell, or maybe some raw cards you're looking to get graded and then sell, ARIZONATCG is perfect for you. They're now an official PSA dealer, so they can get your cards graded for you, and then they'll take those graded cards and they can post it on their massive weekly eBay auctions. You can change it to buy it now. You have full control. And the best part about all this is they charge almost the exact same amount as if you started your own eBay store and tried to sell your cards. But this eBay store already has 100% positive feedback with over 10,000 cards sold. So definitely check them out. All the links are in the description. And I do have to mention we have a card show this Sunday. This is the Minnesota TCG only card show, so there will be no sports cards. It's 150 plus tables that will be there vending and recording, so if you guys want to come be in a video, definitely swing by. But alright, first question is from Mr. Showtime X. Hey Beard, I was wondering if now is a good time to pick up a raw Groudon from Paradox Rift and try to grade it in a 10. So in my opinion, I think it's always a good time to pick up raw cards to try to grade it in a 10. The price of the raw card isn't that important. Let's say you weren't looking at this card at, $80 to $100 because you thought it was too expensive. But if you're literally just trying to get a PSA 10 quality card, you could have possibly missed out. So I am always keeping my eye out. Like I said, I don't really care too much about the raw price when I'm hunting for a PSA 10 quality card. But now let's say you're not hunting for a PSA 10 quality card. I mean, Groudon did get to $100 now last sold. 85, 75, 69, 69. So if you can find this card in the 60s, I think that's a solid pickup for your binder. We do have a sale here at $62.50. And last sold in the 10 is $375. This card did get up to $434 in February 2025, then down to $297 in June of 2025, and climbing right now, like I said, $375. See, I am always hunting for clean raw cards because you never know. That's why it is important to know which cards are actually super tough to grade in the 10, because if you find one, it's a solid payday. Like all those celebration cards that are going crazy right now, I mean, just a regular Pikachu is selling for like $800 in a PSA 10. That's like a $3 card. The Zacian, which we're going to talk about here in a second, that's also a pretty expensive card, but super tough to grade. That's why it pays off knowing these things and always keeping your eye out. But yeah, I think the Groudon, for a binder copy right now is a solid time to buy. I can't see it ever really getting below $50. And in my opinion, I think it's the best illustration rare. I like it more than the Magikarp even. But all right, next, kind of a similar question. This is from Junior Gomez 3438. Hey Beard, I was wondering if you think now is the time to try and grab some of the Sword and Shield Altarts, or should we wait longer to see if the market goes down on them anymore? So I feel like some of them are pretty affordable. I was just noticing the other day the Aerodactyl, market price $115. I think the cheapest that card really ever gets down to is like $90. Rapid Strike Urshifu, market price $73. Maybe some of these evolutions. But again, when a card is coming down in price, I don't ever buy it until I see it kind of level out, because these cards could drop another $20, $30. You never know what's going to happen. And then if we go to the next page too, I think there's some pretty solid affordable ones. Selby, market price $46. That's always been a pretty underrated card. The Galarian Articuno, market price $47. That's pretty affordable. The Mew V at $55. I feel like that's not too bad. So there's definitely some solid buys. And if we're looking at the top dogs, so I feel like the Giratina is also an okay buy, maybe at like $450, and kind of same with the Gengar. But here's the thing, if the market really cools off like it did in the beginning of the Scarlet and Violet era, these cards could literally all cut in half, because that's exactly what happened in the beginning of the Scarlet and Violet era. So I mean, this Giratina V could be a $250, $300 card. But here's the thing, if you buy it at $450 and let's say it does drop to $300, you overpaid $150. But this card was $700. So if you get it at $450, you already got it at a better price, like over $250 better than some of the people that paid at $700. So I always just try to think positively when that does happen, because it is so hard to time the bottom. And you are for sure going to overpay on some of these cards, especially when they're the more higher price ones, because they're kind of always going up and down. All right, next question is from Chamara Boy 671 ILG23, a member. Hey Grandmaster Beard, these names are seriously hilarious. I just received some AGS graded cards as a gift. I've never heard of AGS. Are they new? I also can't find comps for the cards. Can you point me to the right direction if possible? I want to say they came out in like 2021 or something. I think they're kind of like one of those AI companies. I feel like the labels look okay. I don't know. I'm not like super obsessed with them or anything, but this is just on eBay, recently sold. There's some comps. It's going to be tough to find, your exact card, just because I don't think they have graded a ton of cards. but they don't look too bad. You know, a lot of people don't even look at these cards, but I'm always checking. Like, let's say you find a really nice 9.5 AGS card, which you know they grade a little bit tougher than PSA, especially if they're doing all the AI stuff. You could crack that out of the slab and get a PSA 10, you never know. Because these cards are not nearly in this high demand, so you could definitely get some good deals. So I'm always checking these random graded companies for some very clean cards that could possibly get a PSA 10. Yeah, I mean, we even have a Gem Mint 10 Cutie Fly illustration rare that sold for $5.50 with $6 in shipping. So literally like $11, $12 for a 10, which is kind of crazy. All right, next question is from Matt Elias Jarrod 9055. I butchered that. Hey, PokeBeard, big fan. Do you think holding Nagaba's set is smart, as it's nothing like what we've seen in its Japanese exclusive? Definitely. I mean, they're not the toughest cards to grade. There's a ton of them. There's 22,568 Pikachus, but they're very affordable. So it's not super risky to try to hold them. And, you know, like you said, they are exclusive. There's nothing really like it. And if we get another one, like let's say if they make a Charizard one, which has been rumored, you never know. These could pop off even more. But I'm a big fan. I think they're super unique cards for sure. Next is from a member at Avin47. Hey, Beard, what are your thoughts on single prize pack cards? So I think they're pretty cool, but the one bad thing about them, they don't sell very often at all. So here's the Umbreon right here, and we're on TCG Player. We got one sale, 421.25, and that sold for 221. And before that, it was 323.25, and that was 300. Those are all the sales that we have on TCG Player. It says we have 8 total sales for the year, and this is for Umbreon. And even on eBay, they don't sell very often too. So that's the only bad thing about them. They are super cool, some of the most, you know, exclusive cards that we actually get. But I really wish they would do it more for like the illustration rares and stuff. Then I think they would be a lot more popular. I just feel like some people don't really want to spend that much money on some of these more regular VMAX cards, which is why I think the Pokemon Center illustration rares do so well, is because, you know, they are an exclusive card, definitely much rarer than pretty much all the other cards we get, and it's on a beautiful illustration rare. So that's why I feel like they do so good. But all right, next question is from at Easy Onion. Thoughts on the Zacian Level X Celebrations promo? Super low pop in a PSA 10 and are only a couple dollars each raw. Thanks. But yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about in the beginning. You got to keep your eyes out. You got to know which cards are really tough to grade, because this card is literally a couple dollars. Got up to $419 in a PSA 10. Last sold $364, which is crazy. For raw, last sold is $3, $2, $1.97. Most expensive raw on here is $5.25. So yes, definitely keep your eye out for these cards. I would not buy this card in a PSA 10 at this price, especially with all the Celebrations hype going on right now. But I would definitely be hunting for raw copies to possibly get graded. And you got to think, when stuff like this happens and these cards go crazy, there's probably another 5,000 or 10,000 of these that just got sent in the last month, because these cards are finally starting to move. That's why I never buy into the hype of these PSA 10 cards. You know, if I had the cards, I'd maybe sell a couple, but I would never buy any of these cards that spike like crazy. Even if they have lower pops, you know, we'll be able to get them much cheaper after the 30th if you're actually buying it for your personal collection. But all right, next question is from at Unlimited18. Do you think that it is a good time to buy the Sylveon VMAX PSA 10 from Evolving Skies? So let's see where it's at. It got up to $618 in a PSA 10. Then it got down to about $465. And now last sold $525, $556, and $455, and $446. So I mean, maybe if you can find it in the low 400s, I mean, it's much better than $620. And you're getting close to the year low, which was probably about $380, $390. But in October of 2024, this was a $289 card. Let's check the all-time data here. So let's see here. December 8th of 2023, $176. It's kind of right around the time the Scarlet and Violet era started. But like I said, if you can find it for a really good deal in the low 400s, I'd probably pull the trigger. Otherwise, you know, I'd probably wait a little bit longer. All right, next question is from Matt Kowang5682. Probably butchered that. What is the best Pikachu card ever created that I should collect? Surging Sparks Pika or PSA 1 Gold Star Pika or other? I'm a little different on that card. In my opinion, the best ever Pikachu card ever created, technically, would be the XY promo. And another card that I actually like more than the Gold Star, which is kind of crazy, is just the first edition Shadowless base set Pikachu. Now this market price $149, you know, it really depends on condition. They also have a Red Cheeks Pikachu, which is actually more rare. And, you know, we're talking $500 in like a PSA 7 or something like that. So to me, when we're talking, you know, the older Pikachus, this is my king for sure. Now, the Gold Star is absolutely amazing. I'm not the biggest fan of PSA 1 cards, to be honest, because you're paying a premium for a worse card. Yeah, and I get everybody likes to collect the PSA 1s, but I'm not the biggest fan. So yeah, Gold Star is totally fine. I think the first edition Shadowless Pikachu Red Cheeks is an awesome card. Even the Yellow Cheeks is totally fine for sure. And then, like I said, that XY promo. And a couple other of my favorites for sure is the Red's Pikachu, where they're running together. That is awesome. And then also the Ash's Pikachu, you know, where we actually have Ash on a Pokemon card with Pikachu, which we don't even have that for English. Like, that's a super, super cool card for sure. Someone actually asked about that in a question down the road here. All right, next question is from TCG Strategist. With people calling for an immediate market crash, I've been wondering, how and when did the last bull market come to an end, the Logan era? Looking back, what were the signs and events that led to the cooling off of the market? I would love your thoughts on this. Super good question. I'm not going to go into crazy detail because I want to make an entire video about this. So we can check the first edition Jungle EV in a PSA 10. So August 6th of 2020 was $150 in a 10. Got up to $710 in October 2020. And we can check August 7th, 2021, it goes back down to $160. So legit 1 year we had this boom. And then you can even check Evolving Skies Booster Box. This set came out August 20th or whatever it was, 2021. Look, it's $126 when it came out. And then went up to like $160, $150. You got to think, every single Scarlet and Violet Era booster box right now is $200 plus, which is just wild. That's why to me, the COVID boom was a lot more vintage. Yes, modern went crazy, but it was nothing compared to vintage, like laughable. Like it wasn't even close. Now, this boom is a lot more modern heavy compared to the vintage. And then you got to think too, for the Sword and Shield era, Sword and Shield base set, not popular, Revoclash, not popular. Darkness Ablaze got a little bit of hype, you know, because it started with the boom. Champion's Path went wild because it had a couple very nice expensive Chase Charizard cards. And Logan Paul was making his videos and it was all about vintage and the Charizards. And a lot of people couldn't even afford like an unlimited Charizard because they got so expensive that they were chasing these modern cards. Vivid Voltage went crazy also. Shining Fates was crazy on release. And then people stopped caring that much. And Battle Styles wasn't very popular. Chilling Reign wasn't really popular when it came out. As you've seen, Evolving Skies wasn't crazy. Celebrations was pretty crazy on release. Because, you know, we don't get anniversary sets very often. And then again, nobody cared about Fusion Strike and Brilliant Stars and Astral Radiance. So I do think the booms are completely different. There is some similarities with a few sets going crazy. But again, we are talking like the worst sets in the entire Sword and Shield era in the very beginning of the era compared to some of the best sets in the Scarlet and Violet era. And we're basically done with the Scarlet and Violet era. So these will go down as the best sets, you know, Searching Sparks, Prismatic Evolutions, Destined Rivals, you know, 151, Paldean Fates. These are the best sets in the Scarlet and Violet era, and that's not going to change. But yeah, people make it seem like we had $200 booster boxes for the entire Sword and Shield era. Every single new modern set was that expensive, when that's not true at all, as you've seen by the Evolving Skies booster box price. So yeah, when I think of the Sword and Shield era, especially that boom, you know, it went crazy for those first few crappy sets that got hyped up because of the vintage boom. And then the rest of the Sword and Shield era I thought was pretty solid and strong. You know, booster boxes were pretty affordable. It wasn't that tough to get packs. Now, it really fell off when we got the Scarlet and Violet base set. Now, a lot of people act like it's just automatic, like market cycles, to where, you know, Pokemon's just going to cool off automatically for Gen 10. When to me, it really depends on the set. I swear, if Scarlet and Violet base set had some bangers, it would have done very well. But we went from Crown Zenith to Scarlet and Violet base set. And Scarlet and Violet base set is the best base set we've ever had. But again, there's like barely any older Pokemon in there. It's pretty much pure Gen 9 besides the Gardevoir line and a couple illustration rares. Same with Paldea Evolved. You know, it's all Gen 9 special illustration rares. And then we had Obsidian Flames, which had good potential, but it was so small, and then people hated the crowns. Then we got 151, which everybody loves. So hopefully, for the Gen 10 base set, you know, maybe it's a crazy set. Maybe we get a couple new evolutions for Gen 10. Maybe we get a Dragon evolution, and it's in base set. You never know what's going to happen. But yeah, when I think of the Sword and Shield boom, my mind goes right to vintage. I know a lot of people that started during that time may not think that because they weren't collecting vintage because they just started out, so they're doing the modern thing. But to me, I was focused mostly on the vintage, and of course I collected all the modern cards too, but vintage was just so crazy. There was just so many plays to be made during that time. But all right, next question is from Chris5883. Hey Beard, when do you think is a good time to buy Destined Rivals singles? And also, do you think 151 is a good long-term investment? Thanks. Yes, 151 is a very good long-term investment, and I like to wait till the next set comes out, which I feel like this Gen 5 set's not going to go super crazy, so So you might want to wait till the Mega Evolution set comes out. Or at least till we see the reveals. If the reveals look crazy, then I would probably wait for the Mega set. But some of the illustration wares for Destined Rivals are pretty affordable right now, so... Alright, next question is from Ethan Loves Rice. Hey Beard, loving the videos. I started a collection of the tag team alt arts, including the regular alt arts and the alt art promos. With the tag teams going crazy right now, should I wait to buy more, or do you only see them going up from here? So, I feel like there's some that are still pretty affordable. Where'd it go? Here we got tag teams. So like the Garchomp and Giratina, market price $87. That's not too bad. Eevee and Snorlax, market price $93. And especially if you can find them super clean, to where they can possibly grade in the 10. I think they're all good pickups raw right now. But again, you got to be very confident in the 10. I probably would not be picking up these non-textured ones because they're going absolutely crazy, and I feel like they will definitely come back down in price. You know, some of them are pretty affordable, but a lot of them are getting very expensive. So yeah, if you're shopping for super clean raw cards that has a potential of getting a PSA 10, I wouldn't worry as much. But if you're just looking for like binder copies, I wouldn't go super crazy. You know, just get the ones that you think is a good deal. Maybe splurge on a couple of your favorites that are kind of expensive, and then just wait on the rest, and hopefully they come back down in price. All right, next question is from Team V92. Old Grandmaster Wizard PokeBeard. Do you think we will ever get an Ash set? I know he got a Japanese deck versus Team Rocket. He's got plenty of Pokemon to have a special set. Imagine 30 different Tauros cards. That would be honestly epic. I would go crazy for an Ash set. I really hope they do something with them in the future. Next, we have James Foggin, 3299. Hey Beard, love the content. Question for you. I was interested in the Chinese Collect 151 set, especially with all the unique cards it has. What do you think of this set? I was also wondering if you know of a reputable site to purchase Chinese Pokemon cards from. I am located in the US and I'm looking to get them as close to MSRP as possible. Thanks. So right now, I don't really have any good sellers to get Chinese from. They're all pretty expensive at the moment. I like the Collect 151 set. You know, I wouldn't go absolutely crazy, but I definitely want to get some sealed, and then I want to get the actual art rare exclusive cards. So I wouldn't invest a ton in the other type of cards. Your best bet is sticking to the exclusive and then some sealed products. But honestly, I find my best deals on eBay, and as long as you get from a legit seller that has really good ratings, I wouldn't worry too much. But I think like Crystal Collect sells Chinese cards. She might be a little more on the expensive side, but I think PokeNE, I think also sells Chinese cards. I'm not 100% sure. All right, next question is from Doug Werner 6115. Hey Beard, love your videos. I got a prismatic poster collection from Pokemon Center a while back, and the contents were packaged upside down in the box. Is there a market for error products? Thanks, keep up the good work. I have that same exact box, and when you go to list it, you could definitely charge a little more and see what happens, but I don't think you're going to get like double or triple the price. But it's definitely going to have like a little tiny premium on it, because some people just love that stuff. Next is from Triple TCG. Hey Beard, do you think Destined Rivals booster boxes will ever drop below 200? Hard to think it will since all the other booster boxes are above this. So it's not going to drop below 200 before Journey Together drops below 200. So once Journey Together gets below $200, then we can start, you know, thinking about Destined Rivals getting below 200. But if the market cools off, the box could definitely get below $200. I know it seems like impossible right now, but, you know, I've seen it so many times for sure. You got to think it's a brand new set. It could get reprinted for the next 3 years. And if all these new sets coming out are much better than Destined Rivals, not nearly as many people are going to want these Scarlet and Violet era sets because we have all the new popular sets. That's usually how it goes. Next is from SLW066. Hey Beard, I would love to get some more Prismatic and Destined Rivals products, about 1 to 2 each, like displays, booster bundles, displays, ETBs. Buy now or wait. Thanks for the help and have a great one. So same thing. Those are 2 very new sets. We're going to get reprints of those for the next 2 to 3 years. The only thing I would ever think about maybe buying like over MSRP for newer sets is Pokemon Center ETBs. And again, I would really only do that if I'm in person and if the box is super minty. You have no idea how many dings and like little holes and tears come in some of these Pokemon Center ETBs. So that's really the only thing that I'm willing to overpay on for these newer sets, because it is the most exclusive product that we get. And we could definitely even get more drops of Pokemon Center ETBs, but you guys know how quick those sell out. Even if the market cools off and we get a Pokemon Center drop, it's still going to go quick. All right, last question is from Ryan Scheckler 861. Thanks, Beard, for the amazing daily content. What day's videos is your favorite to put together? Market Monday, What If Wednesday, Falling Friday? So Market Monday and Falling Friday are the quickest and easiest to record and edit. They take kind of a long time to set up. You know, it takes me a couple hours to go through all these cards and find stuff, especially if like the market's not moving at all. Then it can get really tough. But I would say What If Wednesday, it's definitely my hardest video by far. It's not even close. But to me, it's the most rewarding. And we've been doing What If Wednesday for over a year now. We've answered over 1,000 questions on this channel. You know, I do like 20 questions per video. But for What If Wednesday, you got to think I got to go through like 200 questions, and I got to comment back to every question, and then I screenshot every single question, and then I have to go through all the screenshots, and then I have to get that down to about 20 questions. So that takes a couple hours to do that. Then I got to figure out which question would make the best thumbnail. And to me, that's the toughest part because the thumbnail and title are everything, and that's how you're going to get the views. And then, you know, editing it and then doing the questions, because I just kind of read it and then I just kind of talk as I go. And if I mess up my words or whatever, I got to edit it. So editing takes forever. I also have to edit each question in. So yeah, What If Wednesdays are definitely my toughest. I literally get up at probably 6 o'clock in the morning. And by the time I'm done, like editing and watching my What If Wednesday, it's probably like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But my Market Monday, like I said, it takes me an hour to 2 hours to set up and get ready. Takes me 35 minutes to record, and it takes me like 45 minutes to edit. So those are super easy. Throwback Thursday is also pretty easy too. So yeah, these What If Wednesdays are definitely my toughest videos that I do by far. But all right, that was today's Pokemon What If Wednesday. If you guys do like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, or my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. And if you want to watch my last Pokemon Market Monday, which was a super good one, click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.